Good afternoon, my name is Amy Phillips from Wilmington University. I'm here to present to you my company, RoboSet. Before you understand robotic surgery, you also need to understand laparoscopic surgery. So we're going to give you a background on that. This is how general laparoscopic surgery is performed today. There are these port sites, which are just cannulas or tubes that go into the patient's body. And then the surgeon will hold the instruments here, and he has to manipulate them. As you can see, it takes a lot of space for him to move his arms out, sometimes as far as he can reach. He has to reach down, which then may impinge on the surgical field, the sterility of it. So that's how surgery is performed now. With RoboSet, using a robot, you have this would be at its field. You could have as few as one single port site, and the instruments would go through that. This would then angle, however, it's very minute inside the body. The surgeon would then sit at the console, control each instrument with its foot pedal. This camera site here is actually in 3D. So the surgeon is actually sitting, he's more comfortable, decreases the risk of contamination on the sterile field because he's not spreading out as far. With RoboSet, it's robotic technology to assist in performing laparoscopic surgery in as few as a single port. The console allows the surgeon to sit comfortably and view 3D, and the ergonomic instruments that facilitate movements better than the human hand. Those instruments actually have a wrist capability inside that can range of motion at 360 degrees. It allows the patient or surgeon to get into more compact space, such as the lower pelvic floor. Why RoboSet, you ask? Because it improves patient satisfaction. In the little time that we've been out, patients have been happier, improved surgeon and staff satisfaction, which has to do with both with better patient safety. Patients are discharged earlier, so therefore they're happier. They also get to say they have robotic surgery, which for a lot of people, that's exciting news for them. Improved surgeon confidence, that has to do with better hemostasis. Because of the 3D capability, you then can have, you get to see the smaller vessels that may be still leaking or oozing from the surgery itself. As I said, the earlier patient discharge not only makes the patient happier, it also saves the hospital money. The patients who used to have surgery for like a hysterectomy were in the hospital for 3 days. With RoboSet, you could actually do surgery early in the morning and discharge them late that evening. You just want to double check and make sure there's no bleeding or pain complications. Improve the organization standing within the healthcare market. In a hospital, you may be out alone, standing alone, not have any competition in the area. The robot is still important for you because of the patient safety and for the surgeon's satisfaction. However, if you're in a city where you have multiple hospitals all surrounding around you, if you have the robot and they do not, you're going to be ahead in the market. Patients are going to want to come just specifically to say and to have robotic surgery. The objectives of RoboSet, we want to become the market leader in surgical robotic technology. We want to strengthen and satisfy the needs of the surgeon with the most advanced technology in healthcare. We also want to help hospitals provide superior care while reducing operating costs. Some of our strengths that we have is a lot of our staff is energetic, they're innovative, and they're dedicated to leading the way in robotic surgery. For our competitor, which is Picasso Surgical, they are the only robotic surgery that's out on the market today. So right now they are the current leader because they are alone. They are also world-renowned because they were the pioneers of the technique. Now, since they have been the pioneers, they've also started venturing out in other technology. However, they're kind of letting the robotic side go to the wayside. They're not staying on top of the newest technology and developing new ways for it. They feel they're safe, secure because of their reputation. And RoboSet's going to come and just kind of make them acknowledge there is competition. RoboSet will have to work with a couple of collaborators. Lab Tech, which is producer of the scopes, that's how we get the 3D vision during the surgery. The CO2 insufflator company actually is a company that produces the insufflator, which is used the CO2 gas. It enlarges the abdomen, inflates it, so that the surgery can occur. You have to have the abdomen expanded with gas so you can proceed. Generations is the generator manufacturer used in hemostasis. And then down here we have the local structure and electrical engineers. Because robots are so heavy, you need to have the hospital, the OR rooms evaluated for their structure and electrical standards, because they may have to be improved and reinforced. Back to our strengths. The company was founded and has been founded by someone who's been working in healthcare for 17 years. Members of the design team are nurses and doctors who have been working together. They performed over 2,000 surgeries. They're the ones who kind of tweaked the ergonomic seating of the console. They worked with trying to figure out the best way to get the arms to work so that it was not providing contamination on the field. Some of our weaknesses. Right now, because there's so few of us, since we're such a small company, that it is a little difficult to get a representative to each surgical site. They cover such a large area. It's difficult for them to have be in two places at one time. So they do phone consultations if there's a problem or any questions that the surgeon may have regarding using the robot. Our IT department is constantly making improvements within the technology of the robot itself. Because the robot, our IT department is still small, it's a little difficult. They're working a lot of overtime. So we'd like to go ahead and bring on some more IT department. The opportunities. Technology has room to continue for us to advance. We want to stay and maintain and extend our advantage of being leaders in the market. Patients are going to demand safer techniques for surgery. So therefore, they're going to start wanting us. Once we're out there, they're going to want and demand to have robotic surgery. Insurance reimbursement requires more efficient care, and that has to do with how the healthcare system is going in general reimbursement. Hospitals are getting, like, for a surgery, a lump sum, regardless if that patient's in the hospital for 4 days or if they were discharged the same day. It's still a lump sum. So we got to watch. Insurance companies are cutting back, so hospitals are going to want more efficient ways to provide care. Organizations will want to be the leader in their healthcare market. That goes with just saying they want to bring in the patients. It's how we keep business. Our threats. While technology is also one of our opportunities, it's also a threat for us because it is constantly evolving. We're going to have to constantly update and advance in our technology on how the robot's functioning and its way that it works. We need to continue in research and development and maintain that lead in the product technology. Possible changes in healthcare policies. Because of places like Joint Commission, the WHO, the FDA, all these places actually make regulations of how surgeries can be performed. You need to step up to standards regarding sterility, regarding just the products that are used. Latex issues may come into play. The robot itself is a latex-free. The drapes are latex-free, so they will not come into play with us. Possible changes in the insurance reimbursement. As I said earlier, they're going to start tightening up on that. They want their patients to provide or to have safe care, but get out of the hospital sooner. The product, we are the newest in technology. We're used by GYNs, urology, and general surgeons. With the robot set, we're focusing more on laparoscopic surgery. Now there are different robots that actually will do orthopedic surgeries, but robot set is geared towards laparoscopic surgery of the abdomen or the thoracic. You can do some open heart surgery too with RoboSet. We have here about improving this surgical outcomes by reducing the number of surgical sites. As I said, laparoscopic surgery can now be performed in a single port. This will allow the surgeon to have one incision instead of 5 or 3. So this actually reduces the risk of them having post-op complications such as infection or hernias that may develop. so that's better for a patient. And improved visualization of the anatomy of the patient. Because of the 3D, it magnifies the anatomic structures of the patient. When the surgeon's sitting at the console, they can see the small little vessel or areas that are oozing that they can actually then cauterize. They actually can see the nerves. They're more magnified. They can see those, so you have less damage of nerve problems. You also have the ureters inside. The general surgeons and GYNs and urology, they all want to see those ureters and to make sure that they did not cause any damage to those. That would lead to larger complications post-operatively. So, price. Okay. For a hospital that comes and says that they want to talk about getting a robot, there is an initial analysis of hospital structure capacity. This is where we're saying we're going to use the outside structural and electrical engineers. We will stay with the local community. We tell hospitals approximately $100,000. It's not necessarily going to be that much, but we still have to get the permits and the authorization for the engineers to go in. Then we have the robot itself. It's going to cost $1.5 to $2 million. Very expensive, large investment for a hospital. We don't want people we don't want people to misunderstand the cost. It is expensive, however, you do recoup that within the next year or so. Annual service contracts are offered. They cost $150,000 to $200,000 depending on what we are covering for in the service contract. The more you want covered, the more service items. The cameras themselves cost $50,000. So if we're going to replace those for you, we want to make sure that we're also making money too. Setup costs for each case. By that I mean each surgical case requires drapes for the robotic arms, and that is approximately $200 depending on how many arms they're using. If they're using all four arms, they're about $50 a piece. You could go down to where you're using 2 arms or 3 arms, and that will reduce your cost also. Okay. In the future, one of the things we do want to consider is a possibility of doing contract consignments. This may also benefit the hospitals because they can then establish or find out if they are going to be, if it's worth financially. I mean, $1.5 million is a lot to invest. So we want to look at that, not right this year, possibly next year, depending on how we are doing. Place. This is after the initial analysis of the hospital. The robot will be set up and established on site. There is no store for selling the product because it is such a small audience. It's hospitals. Surgery centers are probably even out too because the surgery centers want to be able to discharge you within an hour or 2 after surgery. With the type of surgeries that you would use the robot for, you're going to want them for at least 8 hours. So, okay. Competitors are currently contacting hospitals directly to market their products, which is what we're also doing. So, everything will be taking place at the hospital. Okay. How we're getting our name out there is we have representatives that are going to each of the hospitals, and they're introducing themselves and to the RoboSet name. Sorry. They want to get our concept out there. They want to get be a familiar face in the OR. A lot of times we can't get back into the actual OR rooms itself. However, we can meet with the directors, with the hospital, medical board staff, and just to show them our product. And the product review board that we'll meet will also, we want to meet with them too, so they know who we are. That way we offer a personal service. Then once we've done that, then we want to start introducing the product and the services to the customer. Now that we've had that rapport, this is where we'll start showing the product even more so and start talking about trying to sell it. We're also advertising in surgical journals and at surgical conventions. We do have people that will go and attend like the AORN convention, which is nurses. However, these nurses are directors, they're managers, they're going to go back to their hospital site and they're going to say, wow, I just saw this new technology of RoboSet. We can get our patients safer care, better care, discharge earlier, save the hospital money, and again, just having the concept, like I said earlier, having robotic surgery is going to mean a lot. Okay, here's our financial projections, and these are projections because we have not been out for the first year entirely. Revenues we're looking at is going to be about $6 million. It costs for us to make the robots that will make the $6 million about $3 million. That gives us a gross profit of $3 million. Okay, and then I've broken down for you all the different costs, and I've also projected for year 2. These are our goals. Goals are meant to be met and surpassed, so that's our goal. We'll go on to the next slide. Go on to the next slide and then continue to break it down of all the operating expenses. Total operating expense is going to be 1.13 million, or 1.1 million, sorry. And then up here, it's going to get a little bit more expensive because technology is changing. We're constantly having to change. We're having to grow also. But at the end, we're looking at a net income of $580,000 in the first year and almost $1 million next year. We're hoping that number will be larger, just depending on how well we are selling. As I said, RoboSet is the future of robotic surgery and laparoscopic surgery. So, any questions?